Welcome to Pyramid Knits. My name is Liz. I am a knitter and a natural dyer and sometimes other crafty person. I am the dyer behind Pyramid Dyeworks. You can find me on Etsy as Pyramid Dyeworks, where I sell my naturally dyed yarns. And you can find me on Instagram as Pyramid Dyeworks, where I share pictures of knitty things, yarny things, mountain things, cute animal things. And I also just wanted to say, if you guys are interested, at the very end, I am going to do a little tour of my vegetable garden here. I live just outside of Taos, New Mexico, which is in the southwestern U.S. We are in the high desert. I'm in zone 5A, which means I have a very short growing season, and it doesn't rain much. So if you're interested in how I am adapting and tackling those challenges, or if you have found this video through searching gardening terms, skip forward to this number, and you can just get the garden stuff. I have a nice ice water because it's summer now. Today is the first day of summer. And I'm sitting here wearing a wool and mohair sweater that I would very much like to take off. So let's go ahead and talk about that. I finished my ranunculus. Last time I visited with you all, I had not even started yet. Sorry, I'm finding the animal hairs. So this is the ranunculus. It is a sweater that is knit with 2 strands of yarn. One, I had regular sock yarn, which I dyed myself with onion skins. And the other is a mohair yarn that I bought from Bug and Bean Fiber Company over on Etsy. And it's just a normal acid dyed yarn. And whenever I got the initial yellow, let me grab them. So this is the mohair that came from Bug and Bean, which is just yellow. Just as yellow as you can be. And I wanted to tamp it down just a little bit and push it more to the orangey side of things. So I dyed up a skein of sock yarn in onion skins. And this is what that turned out like. That's what I have left over. Yeah. Pretty happy with that. I was a little worried that it was going to be too pale, but to go with this to really help tamp it down. But once I started knitting with it, I was like, it's sunshine on needles. Like, I mean, it's great. Look at this thing. So here it is in all of its glory. My finished ranunculus. I was also a bit worried that it was, before I blocked it, that it was really just going to be quite too small. But I stretched it out quite a bit on the blocking mats, and yeah, it's fine. So it's nice little cropped cut, short sleeve. It's going to be just perfect for those cooler summer evenings whenever you're sitting outside, and just pop this on. So neat things about the ranunculus. I had never done this type of tubular cast on before, which uses a provisional crochet chain to do the tubular cast on. And like, it blew my mind, you guys. It blew my mind. I've given up on the tubular cast on because I would always get it twisted. Oh my goodness, there's like mohair bits all over. Oh, I guess that's a thing now. This is the first time I've ever worked with mohair, so I guess this is a thing now. I had given up the tubular cast on in favor of the alternating cable cast on because the tubular cast on was just always so fiddly, and I would always end up getting it twisted around the needle, and I couldn't tell if it was a knit or a purl and which one I was supposed to be on. And the alternating cable cast on is so much easier. You don't have to measure out like the tail of your yarn or anything. And it looks really neat and tidy and pretty similar to a tubular cast on. Not exactly the same, but pretty similar. So I just always use that instead. But now that I've done this one, the tubular cast on with the provisional chain, it's like magic. And I'm going to use it all the time. Because you can't twist the stitches this way. Yeah. So that was a really exciting new skill to learn that I was not expecting. And what else about it? I mean, I get it now that I knit it, why everybody knits it and why everybody loves it. Because it's so fast. It's so fast. Like, whenever I finished it, because I had a little bit of yarn left, you know, and I was debating how far I should keep knitting, and I didn't want to run out of yarn during the ribbing, so I was being a little bit conservative. And like, I kind of wish I had just knit it another inch or two longer, however much I could have gotten out of this, just to use it all up and to have a little bit more coverage, because I do prefer a little bit more coverage. And I briefly considered ripping back. I briefly considered cutting into it and doing some surgery and knitting in a couple extra inches. But at the end, I was like, if I really care that much, I'll just knit another ranunculus. Like, I get it now. Yeah, and I do. I have some yarn left over from a frogged sweater that I don't really know what to do with. I was like, oh, I could make a long sleeve ranunculus. So yeah, here we go. Oh my, it is getting warm. Summer is here, indeed. So I sewed. Oh my goodness. Nobody is more surprised than I am at all of this. So I'm going to show you my next finished object, which is sewn. I sewed a top. I sewed a top, you guys. Here, let me stand up and then you can see it. So this is the Clarke top. And it's all finished. It's very cute and swingy. I really would prefer it to be just like an inch longer. But I didn't have enough fabric to even add an inch to it. So it's just per pattern. I ended up getting a subscription to Seamwork last fall, I think, and kind of made it my winter quarantine project to learn to sew better and make some garments, because I would like to sew some garments. I would like to have more handmade things in my wardrobe and not just handmade knitted things in my wardrobe. So yeah, I've been working my way through some patterns from the Seamwork collection. I'm using beginner patterns. And yeah, this Clarke top is super beginner friendly, but I got to learn a lot of cool things. There's, it's faced like to under the boobs, which I've never done before. So that was interesting. The whole, tank top construction, like fitting this all together. I'd never done anything like that before, and that was really interesting. I have a hard time with sewing because I think I have a hard time with like spatial things, and the whole right side, wrong side is difficult for me sometimes. A lot of the time. I'm getting better, but anyway. So it's a project that does not take much fabric at all. I only had 1.5 yards of this fabric. And I bought this, oh my gosh, probably a decade ago, like seriously, from a little fabric shop in Portland called Cool Cottons. I don't know if it's still there anymore. I'm sure it's not. It was in an old house down on Hawthorne in like, I don't know, around the 20s maybe or something. My guess would be that it is not there anymore, and there's probably some newly constructed condos there instead. Yeah. Anybody who's from Portland or has been there knows. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, so I bought the fabric like a decade ago when I was trying to learn to sew back then. And intended to make some kind of a top that I had no business trying to make. And I never even tried to make it. So good for me. I went into a cabinet that I haven't been into in a long time, and I was like, oh my God, that fabric. I totally forgot about that fabric. And I had bookmarked this pattern on Seamwork because it doesn't take very much yardage. And I printed out the pattern pieces, I laid out my fabric, and I had exactly enough fabric to make this top. Yeah, and like I said, I would have liked it to be just a little bit longer, but I didn't even have an extra, even like half an inch to be able to cut out all of the pieces on my only yard and a half of fabric. But yeah, I sewed it like from finding the fabric in a cabinet to finishing this was like 36 hours. As a knitter, I am just like blown away. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I can't believe I'm like wearing this already. What is going on? Yeah, I definitely have a lot to learn about fit and sizing still. I didn't do any alterations to this pattern. I didn't do a muslin. I just like went for it because I found the fabric and I was like, whatever. So yeah, next time I make this top, which I will make it again. Oh, and the other nice thing about this pattern is that it actually can be used for a woven or a knit fabric. And they kind of walk you through during the pattern how to do things differently depending on what kind of fabric you're using. So it's really versatile. And I think this would be great as a knit, like great as a knit. I have not tried sewing with knits yet, but I'm working on it. Yeah, anyway, so next time I make this, I definitely need to like grade down a size for the shoulders. And then I can grade up a size for the bust. Because it's just it's a little too loose, I even thought about trying to go in and like pinch out just, a half an inch or something. But again, it was so fast. I figure just make another one. Now, I don't know what's gotten into me, but I have another finished object, and it's another shirt. Oh my God. This one is the Marlow top, also from Seamwork. Yeah, I dry my clothes out on the line. You can see where it got all pinchy. Anyway, yeah, what can I say about this top? I love it. It's like so comfortable. The first time I wore it, I got so many compliments. It's like, it's great. I definitely want to make it again. Yeah, again, this top has facing. I did buttons and buttonholes, y'all. I used buttons from my grandma's button jar too, y'all. So good. I just picked up this fabric at Joann. I don't even honestly remember what the fiber content is. I think, I feel like I wouldn't have gotten it if it had polyester in it. But it might have a little bit. I'm not sure. Anyway, let me stand up and show you. So here we go. This is the Marlow top. Yay, super cute. Super comfy, nice and loose and easy breezy for the summer. Oh, yeah, it feels really nice. I really like this fabric. Um, Up until this point, I've been trying to make a lot of clothes in like quilting cotton. And this is the first time I think I got some like proper proper apparel fabric, and wow, it sure makes a difference. So it's got this cute little split hem with a little bit of a high-low hem. It does have some dart shaping there on the side. Uh, it's supposed to have rolled up cuffs, uh, but I am a beginner sewist, and God help me, I was putting it together, and I always have a problem with right side, wrong side, right? Right? I sewed it the way the pattern said, and then I was like, oh no, my raw edges are going to be showing if I do it this way. And I unpicked the whole thing. Um, and then I reattached it this way, and I got to the next step in the pattern where is you fold it up and tack it down, and I'm like, oh, and then your raw edges are hidden. So I had kind of a weird fit issue. You can see it flares out a little bit because these are actually meant to roll up. So to fix that, I just did a little pinch at the bottom to kind of take out some of the excess that was meant to allow for it to roll. And it's fine. It's functional. Next time I make it, I'll do it right. And this is something I would want to make again. I feel like with sewing, there's so much more prep work involved. And, you know, now I can tweak the fit a little bit more. Like, I think I might want to try and bring this up just a little bit. Because I do feel like it just kind of, it just keeps going down. And I do find I, kind of have to, just make sure I'm not flashing anybody, Yeah, otherwise, I'm sewing clothes, y'all. I have a couple other finished objects for you. Oops, dropping yarn. This one is a shawl. This is the Tortoiseshell shawl. It was in Lane magazine issue 6, I believe. Mine is much smaller than the pattern calls for, but I only had 2 skeins of this yarn. And it is from, oh dear, I'll have to go back and look at my old notes. I believe it's from Liberty Hill Farm, which is in New Hampshire. My friend Anne got these for me at the Boston Fiber something, back before the pandemic. Yeah, and I started the shawl last spring or something. And I don't know why it got set aside. I think I just started working on other things, and I didn't have that much left to finish on. And yeah, I finally pulled it back out, got back into the lace. That's probably what it was, is I set it aside for too long, and I was like, I'm not going to remember the lace. But yeah. This yarn is pretty scratchy, like against my neck. I can feel it. But it's a really nice fit just right over the shoulders. Yeah. So I'm happy with this. Getting another whip out of the whip baskets. I was starting to feel like they were just piling up, so I'm trying to get in there and get some of these projects that just got left behind finished and in use. So this won't be in use for a while. It's hot outside. But yeah, come fall, it's going to be great. My other finished object is spinning. It's yarn. I spun yarn. I showed last time and probably the time before my Spring Intentions shawl, which is a pattern by Heather and Hops. And I was doing the knit along for it during the spring because it's Spring Intentions. And then I was doing it out of my hand spun. And then I ran out of yarn, so I had to spin more yarn. I haven't given this a bath yet, but I am really quite pleased with how it came out. I feel like I'm getting much better, much more consistent. I got my first spinning wheel in May of 2020. Another quarantine skill. And, you know, I've spun several skeins of yarn, but I haven't really been doing it like super consistently. I'll definitely have little streaks where I'm spinning every day for a, you know, couple of weeks, and then it kind of wanes off. And yeah, so I don't have a super ton of practice in my first year of spinning, but I'm really happy with how this is going. This is just 100% merino. I did it as just a 2-ply. Lovely. Yeah. Finished object, which can now go into my Spring Intentions shawl, and hopefully next time I will be able to show you my very belated spring into summer intentions. All right, here we go into whips. What are you working on? Are you working on anything fun? I had a super impulse cast on. That's not usually my style. But I needed to just like zone out and let my brain still be engaged. So I had some stresses going on. Still do, you know. But I said I need like repetitive color work. Simple, short, repeat, repetitive color work. So I can just like go at it and like kind of zone out on it, but still have something that's engaging. I didn't want just like stockinette. I wanted something a little more than that. So I did a little search over on the Ravelries, and I found the Pine Bow Cowl, which I've had in my favorites like forever and ever. Oh my god, it's so pretty. So this has been fitting the bill really well. I'm really, really enjoying working on this. So the yarn I'm using, and I can't remember the designer's name. Down in the thing. So for my neutral color, I have leftovers from a project I did a couple years ago. I knit the Widow's Kiss sweater by Thea Coleman, which is like one of my favorite sweaters for real, out of this yarn, which is amazing. It's Elsa wool. It's 100% Cormo, sport weight. It's wool and spun. And it is just so soft and light. And like the Widow's Kiss is a super, super cabled sweater. But like in this light wool, it feels like it's nothing, you know. And it's super warm. And I remember and I'm not even showing it to you, sorry. I remember standing outside during the winter, you know, socially distancing. And having friends just be so cold because the wind was whipping, and I was just standing there in my Widow's Kiss, and I was like, oh, I'm fine. I feel fine. We could stay out here for hours. Anyway, back to the Pine Bow Cowl. My main color is unknown yarn. It was gifted to me by my dye mentor, natural dye mentor, and I dyed this with her in Kota flower, which is also called Navajo tea. It's a wildflower that grows here in these areas not exactly in my area, but in her area, which is like an hour and a half away from me. She's a bit lower elevation, and it's too cold up here for the Kota flower. So I drive over that way in the summertime, and I harvest Kota off the roadside. And that's where this color came from. It's off the side of a U.S. highway. Yeah, it's a plant that I don't know a super ton about. It's medicinal. It's often used as a tea. And I'm not super familiar with the medicinal properties of the plant. But it does make a lovely orange. So yeah, that's usually around July and August that you can go and start harvesting the Kota. So yeah. Other whips. Other whips. Socks. It's the poop socks from last time. Oh. Yeah, in my last episode, I was working on these socks, and I was a bit worried about the color because I thought it looked a little bit too much like poop. I know. Put it on my face now. Oh dear. Anyway, I kept knitting with it, and I liked the color still, so. I dyed this yarn with Coreopsis flower, very poorly. Very, very poorly. So then I overdyed it with walnut. And that's the color that I ended up getting. Yeah, I don't know if it's even coming across, but there's just like such great slight variation in the color. I love that tonality. Anywho, socks. I'm just doing basic 3x1 ribbed socks. And I just did the 3x1 all the way to the top on the first sock. And then I tried it on and immediately said, I don't like that and I'm going to rip it out. But I just went ahead and started the second sock first. So I have just gotten to as far as I want with the length on the leg. So now I'm going to switch from my 3x1 rib to a 1x1 rib and knit that for an inch or two, and then I'll bind off. And then come back over here, unpick my bind off, and rip back a little bit, and then do 1x1 rib at the top. Because this is quite a stiff yarn. I mean, it's a sturdy yarn. You can see how much it's like holding itself up. So it's not that it's really going to fall down my leg because it just kind of stands up on its own. But it just felt loose at the top and kind of weird. So yeah, I'm going to take that out and do a 1x1 rib. And then these can go to their intended recipient. And I do still have one more skein of this poop yarn. So I think I'm actually going to knit myself a pair out of the same color. So I guess it's not that bad of a color if I have knit a whole pair of socks and I still want to keep looking at it and knit myself a pair. Whips. Is that all my whips? I think that's all my whip too, guys. That's all I'm working on. Cool. I know, I'm probably forgetting about like 5 projects. Happens. Forgot about that cowl before I sat down. And I was like, oh, right. That thing you've been knitting on for like 2 hours a day, every day for the last 2 weeks. Oh, God. Anyway, I have another spinning project that's on my spinning wheel. I'll insert a picture of the yarn too, but I figured I would show you Crinkles, the roving that I am spinning from. Look at that. It's from Harrisville Designs. It's their Peace Fleece. It says the colorway is Wood Smoke. And it's really, really pretty. It's got these flecks. God, I'm so sorry for the crinkles. Maybe I'll get it in post. I don't know if it's coming across these. It's not. Of like bright blue, and then little bits of like just super saturated bright green and yellow. And yeah, it's spinning up really, really pretty. It's funny. I got 2 bats of the Peace Fleece, one in this wood smoke color and one in desert tundra, which is similar. It's more of like a gray as the main, with kind of these turquoise and yellow and green and orange flecks in it. And my intention was to use the finished yarn from both of those in a project together because they're really complementary colors. Not really complementary, coordinating. Anyway. But I was really surprised. The desert tundra, the way it spun up much, much paler than it looked in the bat, you know? And I feel like this is spinning up much, much more lustrous and saturated than it looks in the bat. Or roving, or whatever. I'm new to this. I'm not great at all the terminology. Yeah, so that's going. I'm enjoying doing that. This is one of those weeks where I have been spinning for, 20 or 30 minutes every day. And, excuse me, I really do feel like I'm finally starting to figure out what I'm doing with, with long draw spinning. I'm spinning all of this woolen spun. It's woolen prep, woolen spun, long draw. And yeah, I think I'm finally starting to, it's like the gears are working. So that's fun. It's good to see improvement. I think I was not seeing improvement for a while because I wasn't being consistent about it. And that got really frustrated and I didn't want to do it again. So it took, the dedication and honestly stressful outer life events to get me anxious enough to be like, I need to sit on that spinning wheel and like do my feet. I find it's quite helpful with anxiety things. Knitting too, of course. But I feel like it's like a full body thing with the spinning. Okay, what should I do next? I think we're going to do acquisitions. I think that's what this part is. This is turning into a very long episode. Oh my. Okay. First acquisition is fabric. I bought this yesterday on a whim. Oh dear. I hope I don't regret it. I'm going to make a skirt. I'm going to make the Patsy skirt, which is also from Seamwork. It is like an A-line skirt, but it's got like a bottom extra panel. I don't know what they're called. I'm a beginner sewer too. I don't know what anything's called. Anyway, it looks really good with a striped fabric because the main body, the stripes are going like this, and then across the bottom, the stripes go like this. And it has little patch pockets on it, so you can do those at a different, and have the stripes kind of being perpendicular to each other. Anyway, yeah, I saw this in my local fabric shop and thought, that has all of the colors, so that would match everything. Right? Is that true? So that's the next project. The next sewing project on the docket. Other acquisitions. I have never owned a project bag. I've always just felt like it was another thing that I couldn't spend my money on. And then I had a birthday, so I bought a project bag. It's from the Fat Squirrel, and it's adorable. And I love the color, and I love the moths. They're so cute. And now that I have a project bag and I have been using it, I'm like, holy moly, I need a lot more project bags. Oh dear. Anyway, it came with this lovely little lavender sachet in it. Which I use this for my ranunculus, and like every time I would pull it out, it smelled of lavender. It was so nice. Oh, thank you, Amy Beth. I love it. Also, I have a problem with languishing whips, and I live in a house where I have to have the windows and doors open all the time, and I've had a few projects get eaten by moths in my whip basket. Granted, they were sitting in my whip basket for over a year, sometimes 2. So don't blame the moths for that. Anyway, so now I have a moth bag to protect against the moths, and it has a zipper top, which I need everything in zippers. That's the new goal. I also may have made a little bit of a late night internet purchase the other day, because I was sitting on my couch and a moth flew in front of my face, and I got him, and I immediately went online and I bought another project bag. Not gonna get my wool. So next time I'll have another project bag to show you. The thing that's in it is yarn for a new project. I haven't cast on yet, but I have swatched. This is going to be the Ghost Horses. It's kind of a very tiny swatch. It's probably incredibly inaccurate to my gauge. I did it on very tiny. Oh no. Very small circumference in the round. You can see all my floaties on the back. Yeah. I also read the chart wrong and did the main color and contrasting color reverse. So it'll actually be the other way around. Yeah, whenever this first came out of the sink, I did not like the way the fabric was looking, but as it dried, it really bloomed out quite well. So I think I might be okay with this needle size, which is whatever the pattern recommended. I don't recall off the top of my head. I'm guessing a 4. Anywho, the yarns that I'm going to be using is these fellas. I bought these on impulse back when I worked in my local yarn shop. Yeah, it's dangerous to, have a slow day in the yarn shop and say, oh, what if I got these yarns and I made a sweater? I could do that. Yeah. So this one is, dear. You can see the ball band is falling off. I think I see it on the floor over there. Anywho, United. It's sport weight. It's like 55% cotton, 45% wool. Something like that. Good Lord. And the other The other one, I also don't have the ball band on. Oh, this one is Queensland, Perth. I don't recall the colorway name. I think it has desert in it in the name. But it's a really cool yarn. It's super, super affordable. But it, as you can see, I think, it does the, oh my God, barber pole effect, because one ply is a different color than the other ply. And they're both gradients and they kind of go against each other. So you end up with some neat kind of striping and marling effects. And it goes through all these different colors. Which the Ghost Horses sweater was knit up with spin cycle yarns, the original. I believe that's what they suggest, which is a much higher end and arguably prettier, but style of this with the barber pole effect and the changing colors. And this just seemed like the perfect desert combo. And that this is only 50% wool about, and it is a cotton blend. So I will be making it short sleeved. So it will be more of a fall garment, fall colors. So that is next up. And I've been talking just like forever and ever, and I haven't even talked to you about natural dyeing. I have a bunch of new yarn that I'm putting up in my shop this week. Thursday, the full moon, you're getting some yarn. Let me show you the colors that I've dyed up. I've finally done like a color palette with sweater quantities. It's amazing. Okay, you guys. Look at all the pretty yarn. Can you hear my cat in the background sneezing? Okay. So I've got 5 different colors in 3 different bases. So here's all of the colors on the half pint base. I have these in 25 gram skeins. It's 115 yards. It's a 2-ply non-superwash, 100% Peruvian Highland wool. I've got all of the colors. Got Snow Melt. Got Tierra Amarilla. Sage Wisdom. Desert Rose. And Thunderhead. So I don't have sweater quantities of this kind, but I mean, obviously it's meant for like smaller colorwork projects, you know? Yeah. Second base we've got sock yarn. And this is going to be your standard sort of, you know, 75-25 merino nylon superwash sock yarn. We've got Desert Rose again. And I didn't tell you the first time, dyed with avocado. Thunderhead, also dyed with avocado. I love this one. I was so happy with how this turned out. Superwash yarn just like sucks it up. So good. Snow Melt. This is a nice light indigo. Sage Wisdom, dyed with sage, naturally. And Tierra Amarilla, also dyed with sage. And the last base I have is a new one to me. It's a DK and non-superwash. And I'm really excited about it. I don't know. It feels good. It feels nice and sheepy, you know. Yeah, so DK non-superwash, snow melt. Thunderhead. Desert rose. Tiara Amaria. And Sage Wisdom. We're done. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. Yeah. I'm hearing some thunder outside and seeing some clouds rolling in, which hopefully that means it's gonna cool down for this afternoon. Thank you for joining me, you guys. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, do all those things. Go buy yourself some naturally dyed yarn because it's beautiful. And also, my house is not very large and it is very much full of yarn right now. So if you guys could help me out with that, that'd be great. So thanks so much for coming by to visit with me for however long this has been. If you're interested, do keep sticking around. I'm going to take you guys out into my vegetable garden here in the high desert of New Mexico. See you next time. Hi, good morning. It's morning for me anyway. It's about 7:30 and it is Sunday, June 20th, which is the first day of summer. And I just thought that I would take you guys up to take a little look at what's happening in my garden. So I was gifted this lovely little basket of petunias. And then whenever I started watering it, I discovered that it does that nice drippy thing at the bottom of the pot. And I said, oh, I need to put some flowers underneath it. So I've got some nice little snapdragons and these lovely, lovely deep violet petunias. I just couldn't pass them up. And some California poppy coming up in there too. And these cool, it's like a succulent almost, but it has fun little flowers on it. And then these, I don't know what these are. I was visiting family in New Orleans and I stole seeds from a really beautiful flower they had in the backyard. And I don't know what it is, but we're gonna find out soon. I'm trying to have more flowers about. So we'll just go ahead and walk up now to my edible garden. There's that sun. It's been so hot here and quite smoky too. There have been a lot of fires southwest of here. The smoke has been coming up quite a bit. But it seems a lot clearer today, so that's good. Yeah, it's been really, really quite warm. Over 90 every day for the last couple of weeks, it seems like. Which I believe is about 40 degrees Celsius, which is really the top range of what we normally get here. And it's only June, so. But last night we finally got a monsoon rain in the afternoon and into the evening, and it cooled everything down. And the garden is very, very happy, so let's take a look. So I've got my little flower garden going here. Doesn't look like too much yet. But most of these are perennials that I've put in, so they will continue to grow year after year and get bigger and bigger. Got some lupine here, echinacea, some penstemon, and these lovely flowers are coming in. Yeah, so it's still looking a little barren. Got some sunflowers. So I have sunflowers that I planted, like this guy. And I transplanted into the garden. I started them inside. And then I have sunflowers that just popped up on their own. So this is going to be a really fun race to see which one does better. Yeah, so this is the ant mound that they just won't leave. I've tried to encourage them to move, just like over there, because that would be fine, just like over there. I've tried to kill them. They won't leave. And they bite and they hurt. Anyway. So this is my main edible garden bed. I've had this one going for about 2 years now. And I feel like the soil is really starting to get established. And I have got a thriving spring garden over here. Oh my gosh, it's just beautiful. Like, look at this lettuce. Holy moly. And I have all of this volunteer dill that just popped up on its own, coming up all over in the garden. Yeah, it's great. It's great. I've got my shelling peas here on the end. I've just started harvesting these. Oops, there's my shadow. My other variety of peas didn't do very well. These are snow peas. It was all old seed. I'm just kind of trying to use up. So much so that I did not even bother to trellis these. So they're just kind of growing on top of themselves. So yeah, I've got a little strawberry plant with some lettuces. I have just finally put in my tomatoes. I am in zone 5A. So yeah, there's a chance of snow well into May. Yeah. These are all Roma tomatoes, so these are going to be for sauces and pizzas. Yes. I have one pepper here, still awaiting to be transplanted. I transplanted out some peppers this morning already. But he's going to go where this lettuce is after I have lunch. So moving on over now to the next beds. And this is the second year for these two beds, which has really kind of just formed into one horseshoe bed. Still looking, tiny. Got my tomatoes out. Tomatillo down there. And I've got some parsley that I transplanted out. Oops! Somebody wanted to say hi. Oh! Conan loves the garden. It's so much fun to roll around in the garden. But I was really happy to see all of these little guys popping up. That's all calendula that has self-seeded from last year. And it's all coming up so nice and strong. I love it whenever I get volunteers. Yeah, and so over here I've got a little arugula coming up. Looks like I'm getting some volunteer sunflowers. And I've got a marigold that I believe self-seeded from last year too. Yeah, I see some more coming up back there too. I had a big marigold plant here last year. So that's great. Got some beans coming up. Sad little pepper in the back who I just transplanted. I'm sure he'll perk up once the sun gets around this bush. Some collard greens coming in. Oh, and look at all more marigolds. Oh my goodness. I swear, every time I come out here, there's just like more things popping. I only had one successful chard plant this year, which is kind of disappointing, but it's looking strong. And another tomato. And I'm so excited about this. Look at this hollyhock. Oh, it's so pretty. I have had such a hard time growing hollyhocks here. I don't know why, because they just grow everywhere. And they grow in poor soil. They self-seed, like they're everywhere here. It's an iconic flower. I have it tattooed on my back, for goodness sake. But I've always had a really hard time growing them. And I had a really tiny hollyhock here last year. And I'm so happy that it is coming back. And it's like proper sized. So I'm excited to see what color that turns out to be. I'm not sure what it is. So yeah. And now these are all new beds that I put in this year. Got some more tomatoes, some more beans, some weeds that need to be pulled. Here we go. Oops. Oh, you're a bean. Put you back. Okay. Yeah, there's another marigold coming up. Awesome. And right here, I seeded some cilantro that's starting to sprout. I love cilantro. I'm one of those people. Hello, Conan. Hello, Conan. Oh, so sweet. And so this is my fun experiment for this year, is I'm doing little Three Sisters plantings. I've never grown corn before. I know it's wind fertilized, so you really want it to be grown in like a clump. So this is not ideal. But whatever. We're just going to see what happens. So around each corn, I have planted beans and squashes of some variety. And I did all of those just by seed. Whenever I started the corn inside. And when I transplanted the corn out, I planted all of the seed around it. And yeah, you can see everything coming up now. It's very exciting. I hope that this yields a lot of food. And then as I come around the corner, I have a few more. Because I had extra corn starts. And these ones, they are so happy over here. Oh my goodness. It's just like the perfect spot. Very, very happy corns and beans and squashes. All right, so that was just a little walkthrough of my garden. I was looking back at some pictures that I posted on Instagram like a week ago or something, and the garden looked so different even just in a week. Like, things are starting to warm up. Yeah, it was one of those, it felt like the cold just kind of lingered on, and then the next day it was just summer and 90 and hot. But yeah, I'm really happy with how my garden is retaining water. I do live in the desert. I have a well here, which is great. A lot of homes like mine actually have water catchment systems, so you really are dependent only on what falls from the sky, or you have to truck it in. And I do have a well, so I'm very lucky in that sense. But I'm very water conscious. So all of these beds I've done in a sort of pseudo hugelkultur style, in the sense that I have basically dug pits for all of my beds. I've dug them all out and then filled them up with anything organic that I have, any organic matter. All of my old Christmas trees are in these garden beds. Branches from trees, cuttings, my old sunflowers from last year, the big tall stalks. I've got my dad has some big elm trees in his yard, and He's brought over all of his raked up leaves, so I've been, just dumping leaves, anything organic I have, putting into these holes that I dug. And then on top of that, putting in a really nice, fresh soil compost that I got from my local garden center, which is cotton burrs. It's composted cotton burrs. And sorry, I'm having a hard time. It's like a mirror. You can see there's bits of cotton in it. It's wild. So that's really good for us out here because our soil is quite alkaline, because it doesn't rain. I used to live up in the Pacific Northwest, and we had very acidic soil because it rained all the time. So this is definitely, yeah, it's a different way of thinking about growing things. But anyway, it has these little cotton bits in it, and it just retains the water so well. I'm so happy about that. But also all of that organic matter that I put into the garden beds before I topped them off, that's all breaking down underneath it, and all that wood is acting like a sponge. All that organic matter is just composting in place. I put some worms out here, and as I've been digging around here in the spring, I keep coming up with these fat earthworms. Oh, it's so exciting. And I've seen so many ladybugs in my garden this year too. They're just like all over the place. I'm so happy that all the good guys are moving in. And I've also seen in my older beds that are, the 2 and 3 year old beds, as I've been digging, I've been seeing the mycelium layer, just under the surface of the soil. So yes, I'm really excited about what kind of yields I'm going to get this year. Because yeah, it's been pretty puny so far, but we're building up the soil. I am out on the desert mesa, so it's a process. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the little garden tour and garden rant. I'm gonna escape the sun getting into my eyes. And I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.